Since 2005, the GRDC has been funding us to do these trials, and we've sort of moved right across the South Australian and Victorian cropping zone. We've got a lot of ideas we want to test, and we do test them in pots, firstly, just to get a bit of an indication where we need to go in the field. A lot of our trials, pre-emergent as well, is done with a standard potting soil, which is good for just testing differences between varieties, between resistance, but for real live information it's not suitable. So we've actually gone and go regularly and obtain soil from the paddock, different paddocks, different soil types. We can use these soil types in pots to get a really good indication as to how herbicides are behaving in the system. So we can use traditional pots with different types of soil and bury our crop seed according to whatever depth we're looking at. Also, we can impose different rainfall events. We can decide when it rains. We've definitely noticed that some herbicides bind very tightly to stubble, such as trifluralin. We know that if the trifluralin contacts stubble, it can bind very strongly, and therefore you don't get very good weed control. Whereas herbicides such as Sakura, our indications are that it washes off stubble, and therefore this herbicide, even if you've got a thick stubble load, it'll wash off quite well if you have good rainfall soon after spraying. One of the most important bits of equipment that we have is this laboratory sprayer, where we can control the nozzles, the water volume, the speed to some extent, so really create paddock conditions. We can test different herbicides and different rates and different heights according to what's required. Here in this trial we've got up to 50 odd different individual herbicides and herbicide combinations to try and get indications of which ones may be really effective in the field. We've sown a wheat variety and also a multi-resistant ryegrass and 2 different brome species. So from over on the far area here, we see we have unsprayed, and then that back row has lots of ryegrass and other weeds. These are single herbicides that we're using, and then as we move more and more, we snake along right up to where I am. We start using 2 herbicide combinations, and even moving towards here we start using 3 herbicide combinations. So what you can see is that as you increase the different amounts of active ingredient or the combination of active ingredients, we are starting to get better and better control. And we can, bring the paddock right here, control all the variables, so we can start separating out which are the most important variables for each of the herbicides. We can control all the environmental factors here, so we can start to get an indication of how these herbicides work.